All right.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Peanut from the Legendary Podcast. I got my man Akaba El Elian in the building.
What's up, bro? What's going on? What's going on?
What's good, man? What's good in your world, man?
Nothing much, just working, you know. Working, just making shirts for Central State today.
Okay. Oh, the homecoming coming up. The homecoming coming up for sure. I'm gonna be down there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You want me to expand on it?
Yeah, you got to.
I mean, well, Central State, they come through all the time, so that's just kind of what I was working on today. And Dayton Public Schools
Word.
Oh, nice.
got another little reprint of the shirts they got. So, you know, just working on t-shirts, man. That's my world for real.
I like when we keep it local.
Yes, I do
Good to
too.
say.
I definitely do. But we got a special guest in the house tonight. This is not about me.
Nah, right? Yeah, for sure. You know what I'm saying? So we got Lynn Cooper in the building. How are you doing today?
I am doing great.
Okay, good. For sure. You look amazing in purple, by the way.
Thank you, and shout out to the T-shirt King.
Hey!
I'm everywhere.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
everywhere like air.
And everyone loves our T-shirts and our sweatshirts.
So, present matters. Let's talk about some things that are viral right now. Did you get a chance to watch the debate yesterday between Waltz and Vance?
I did. I watched a little. So first, I'll tell you, I'm from Minnesota, so I have a little bit of.
I have family in Cool Rapids.
Yeah, Cool Rapids, it's not far. White Bear Lake.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that northern suburb.
Mhm.
So I wanted to see how he did, and I think he did well. What I thought was fascinating is watching the debate. I think they both were pretty good, actually.
I agree.
However, the next day when the fact checks came out.
Ain't that always the worst?
Yes,
Like, the
you
day I'd be
know.
like, what a great debate. It's like, fact check, they both were lying.
Yeah, it's like, and so that was interesting to me, but it was easier to watch this than it was the first one.
Okay.
Although I really loved how Kamala
Yeah.
did what she did.
I gotta admit
but,
that she caught a body that day.
yeah,
Yeah, she caught a body.
he hasn't done the same.
I definitely agree.
But no, it was really interesting. And Tim Walz is a coach, and that's one of the things I love. I was a coach, and so I just relate to him so much, and I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay, cool. So let's get to like some of your humble beginnings, right? So here
Okay.
on the Legend of People podcast, I'd like to find out the origins of our legends. Without further ado, where did you grow up?
I grew up in White Bear Lake, Minnesota.
Okay.
Right. So I was born and raised in Minnesota.
What was that like? So, like, what's your first early beginnings? What are some of the things you kind of grew up with tradition-wise? What are some things you noticed growing up?
Well, everything they say about Minnesota is very true. It is very cold. We get a lot of snow. I was just talking to Judge Brandon. You know the Christmas story where you have the kid goes and puts his tongue on the fence post or whatever.
Yeah.
We really do that. And I was telling him, I said, I remember the exact spot, my neighbor's fence post, and I had to touch it. It's like your mom and dad told you not to do it, but you just had to do it.
Right.
And so I remember the fence post. And then I was telling him, I said, my daughter, when she was in first grade, she did it on the flagpole at school.
Did
I mean,
your
it's
tongue
right-
get stuck though?
Yes.
What?
No, you rip it off. You lose taste buds.
Oh! She's already tough enough to. You got my vote already. She's tough. I'm not ripping off my tongue. All right.
But it's just funny because that is like one of those Minnesota, like you just have to do it.
Like
Yeah.
rite of passage.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And
I think I've done something similar to that before though.
Uh-oh.
I can't really remember, but I know that we at least thought about it in the house, and I did something, but I don't know if it was like a flagpole. It was like something that wasn't as permanent as that. Like I don't know what it was, but I did something
like
similar.
with like salt, and then you put ice on there, and then you burn your skin by doing it. I did something stupid like
I
that.
never did.
no, this is a rite of passage, and I just it's like it's this lure. It's just like in the movie how they portrayed it on the Christmas Story.
Yeah.
That really does happen.
Right.
So it's a beautiful state. I loved it. People really are friendly there.
Okay.
They really are. It was fabulous being by St. Paul and Minneapolis, and as I got older and more activities.
Let's not go too fast. Let's get to some of the little early beginnings. Right?
Okay.
So, Mall of America. I've never been there before, but I heard it's an amazing place. Can you tell us what Mall of America is?
It is incredible. And actually, I worked right across from when they were building it.
Okay.
So I worked right in Bloomington, Minnesota. So the building that I worked at, they were building this big, huge thing. And so it is, I'm trying to remember, it was 4 stories. But, I mean, it's hard to explain because it is so, it's just huge. And so we would do our Christmas shopping. And we would just do the first floor. And we'd get all our Christmas shopping done. And so, like, there's a lot of stores there, like the Gap at the time, Old Navy, all these things that are on multiple levels because it's so big. I mean, there's more than one of them.
Wow.
And so it's really impressive. It's really impressive. And I think if you're up there, you have to try it once. I actually went there on Black Friday. Is that what it's called? Where you have the Christmas right after Thanksgiving, and that was insane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are some of the things that like you kind of learned culturally that like you hold to yourself today? Like in Minnesota, you move this way and you move this way today, based off of
kindness.
Mm.
Truly, it is. And Tim Waltz is saying this. It is we do for our neighbors. And that is very true there. I mean, you do for your neighbors, you look out for each other. It could be a big city, but it's still a small town feel. And the Minnesota nice is a real thing. And so that's one of the things, and it's how I was raised. It's like you do unto others as you want done unto you. And you care about people, and you have empathy for them. And that really does exist. And I'm not saying that there's not bad there. Of course there is, but it's just overwhelmingly, I would say, a really nice place. And so I would say that's how I was raised. That's how the general feel is with the people that are around there.
Okay, cool. Okay, so
I think I need to move to Minnesota.
Now, it is
Very-
very good.
I heard about this one spot where it's like
Very nice.
like a whole strip of bars. I said I want to go because I got family there, and my family keeps telling me you gotta come here. Lit. I'm like, it's not lit. It's cold. Like, no, I'm not going there.
No, it is cold. So my middle daughter decided that she wanted to go to Minnesota for college. She didn't apply anywhere else.
Out of all the places.
Out of all the places, but my family's all up there
Okay.
still. So she knew her family was there. And we moved down here when she was 5. So she wanted to go back. And I said, Mary, you know that the winters can get 40 below wind chill. No lie. That is the truth. That's not exaggerating. She's like, I got this, Mom. I got it.
40 below?
40
Yeah.
below.
No,
is
for real.
wild.
That is not exaggerating. I can be a dramatic person.
Wait, do you automatically get the day
It's too
off when it's
cold.
40 below?
No.
Like,
No. Okay.
No
okay.
way.
Okay.
Ain't no way.
For real. That is for real.
Calling off. I'm just calling. The store's closed. I'm gonna
No,
close
the
my
stores
store
don't
door.
close. They don't close. So when we moved down here, okay, listen, the kids went outside to play. So when you brought your kids to school, you had them in snow pants, a winter coat, the hat, the mittens, the gloves, the boots, and they went outside if it was above 0. So when we moved down to Ohio, I packed my kids up, I bring them to school, and my daughter came home. She was in 3rd grade. She was so mad at me, and she says, "Don't you ever make me wear my boots again," because they didn't go outside, and then all the kids teased her. And so because
Here in Ohio.
here in
Oh
Ohio,
yeah. If it's like what 10 degrees,
yeah,
they're calling school is closed.
right. Well, and
I'm calling Child Protective Services. I see you out there with your child below 10. I'm calling the people.
No. We had, I think we moved in March down. We moved down here in March, and like that first week, I was driving my kids out to Xenia Christian, and there was 2 inches of snow on the ground. I drove my kids. I didn't even check TV.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
That ain't nothing.
It was close. Now, I'll tell you, when my daughter oldest was 18 months, we had 36 inches of snow that Halloween.
36 inches of what?
Snow. Now that almost shut the city down.
Almost
But
is crazy.
It didn't.
Almost is wild.
I'm serious.
Still
I'm
going.
not lying. Yeah.
Oh my God.
My brother lives in Minnesota right now.
What part?
I think he lives maybe Minneapolis, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
You know what? Just go up there and just do it. Yeah, maybe got this all.
He tells me to come all the time.
Minneapolis is a really cool city.
Yeah.
It is, and
Yeah.
and they've built it up. They've done a lot. They use the riverfront really amazingly. I mean, it's come a long way.
Okay, so before coming to Ohio, what were some of your goals or aspirations or things that you wanted to do in life?
Sure. So before we moved down here, I had 3 children, and I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
So I really just wanted to make sure they were in a Lutheran school up there, and I participated in helping at the school. And I really just wanted to, be able to stay home with them. I had worked a little bit before that, but I was a stay-at-home mom. And I was active in our church, and I really, it was just about the kids. It really
Okay.
was. And I wanted to make sure that I could support my husband at the time, his ambitions.
Okay.
And so that was just the role that I took at that time. And I loved it. I loved being part of their lives. And when we moved down here, I stayed home. I was a stay-at-home mom for a little while longer.
What was
But like Lynn in high school though.
Oh,
Like let's go.
What?
Well, like what type
Really?
of what type?
Talk about that?
I was trying to say
Well, no, I mean I think that it's important for
Yeah.
people to get to know, because honestly, in the voting process, right?
Yes.
You don't know who you're
Yes.
voting for.
Okay.
Rarely do you get a
Yes.
candidate that will come on the podcast
Yeah.
or some type of show and just be open and kind
I
of
will be
like
open.
show people their vibe.
For
Yeah.
sure.
So come on,
Yeah.
let's
All right.
relate. So
I'm
in
gonna
high
go
school,
back. I'm going to go back before high school.
okay,
We're going to Little Lynn.
Okay, little Lynn, I protected everybody.
Okay.
I was the mama bear in the class, and I was the person that got along with every group. I didn't necessarily just hang around one clique. I was not athletically inclined, but I thought I could be, so I would
Yeah.
try. But I was friends with everybody. But I was always really protective of the people in this, the underdogs. And so that was through grade school. And then junior high.
so give us an example of you protecting somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was this one special needs boy. He was, it was a boy and a girl, and they were both slower,
Mhm.
right? And they were getting picked on,
Right.
and I stood up to the bully for them.
Really?
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
And I was short. I was this little feisty little, you're not going to do that to my friends.
And so
kind of
what did
thing.
the bully do? Like how did it end?
They were like, well, okay, because
Right.
someone's looking out for them.
Right.
They were, I think when I wasn't around, they may have picked a little bit, but I really did always look out for them.
Right. No, that's cool.
And so, and then when I went into high school, early high school, I kind of had this. I had made the cheerleading squad, and I was really excited. This is a funny story. So I made up in the school that I was at. Wrestling was a really big sport.
Okay.
At the school that I went to. So I was so excited to make the wrestling cheerleading squad. Right?
Wait.
Except
The
for-
wrestlers
Wait, time
had
out. You know wrestling got to be lit. If they got a cheerleading squad for the wrestling team, you got to be lit. Cause
we went to state every year.
oh, okay,
So,
yeah.
so we were good.
Our wrestlers only had like old.
Can you give us a wrestling cheer though?
Yeah,
Because I've only heard like basketball cheers. Okay. Let her finish. Go ahead.
No,
let
me finish.
Yeah, let her finish. Let me hear this.
Told you I'm dramatic. I build up to it.
Okay.
All right. So I'm so excited. We make the team, and we hadn't even really started practicing or anything like that. But in gym, we were doing laps, and I tripped over a wrestling mat, and I broke my ankle.
Oh.
No.
And so I didn't get to cheer. So I can't tell you a cheer because I
No, this ain't one of
you want
them.
me to be real? I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
So that just shattered my dream.
No pun intended. Shattered. Yeah.
So anyway, then I started getting involved in our church. I kind of got involved with the church group and
In high school? This is still high school?
Yes. So this is 9th, 10th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
what denomination of church?
So most people are Lutheran up there,
Mhm.
and so it was the church we went to was Lutheran, and it was more charismatic. We had more of the Holy Spirit rolling through, not like Baptist church or anything like that,
Mhm.
but it was that was a big worship was a really big deal, right? And so so I got involved with that and was part of that group for a while. And I am going to say, so I have a little bit of a rebellious nature where if I don't feel something's right, I'm going to push against it. And so there were things I just wasn't feeling and vibing anymore. So I, and my parents became more restrictive and I rebelled against them.
Yeah.
So hence entering the fun Lynn.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
This,
right
yeah,
way
we
to
want to
say
hear
it?
about
The
the
little Lynn,
rebellious,
the fun Lynn.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
the rebellious
fun
Lynn.
Rebellious Lynn
Yeah.
is lit. Okay. So
Yes.
So like, what are some of the things that like you could say from like the new perspective that maybe you viewed as okay, you were lashing out or you were that, but like what are some of the things that you could see in hindsight with like your perspective now that maybe you could have done things differently?
Sure. I will be completely transparent and honest. I think that it was an insecurity within myself. And I just kind of lashed out at trying to prove myself.
Yeah.
And trying to find where I was going to fit in the world and what was my purpose and who was, I was accepted by everybody, but I didn't know who or what I belonged to. So it was that kind of wandering kind of spirit of trying to find where does Lynn fit in this world.
Yeah.
And so that was what I say about, and I got, and this is very much my father. My father was rebellious against rules too. So just like not taking care of the room and not following the rules that they set down. Curfew, you got to be home by a certain time. What time?
Right.
That kind of thing. And so that was just a constant high school. That was my high school. I mean, I had a fun time.
Yeah. But it's normal growing up. I mean, everybody is going to grow up and challenge their parents to a certain extent.
Sure.
And try to understand why rules are set in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's normal though, and everybody relates to that.
One of the things that I think, like, my parents' generation is they would say, you're not going to do something because we said so.
Right.
So when I had my kids and they started, getting older, I always would say to them, everything is about your choice. It's about your decision. You have a reward or a consequence. And I had this conversation with them a lot. And I said, so you have to measure, is what you want to do worth the consequence? And if it is, go for it.
Right.
Be ready for the consequence.
Right.
But you have to make that choice. And I would lay it out to them that way, and I would give them the freedom to make that choice. I think I rebelled because I was told what I had to do instead of having that. I felt it was disrespect. Like I didn't feel respected that you trusted me that I could make the right choice, where I empowered my kids to make that choice. So that's where I think as I take what I was like in that high school age and say, how can I do it different with my kids?
Let me ask you something, like, in a kind of philosophical way.
Yep.
So you are in church, and you seem like you have a church upbringing, and so attached with church, you have God.
Yep.
So when you are being obedient to the things that God wants you to do, is that based more on the reward that you'll get from like doing the right thing, or the punishment that you will receive from doing the wrong thing?
Oh, good. Reward or punishment on that one?
What is the motivating factor to do right?
I'm going to say, as I have matured, I'm going to say that it is, I got to think about this. That's really a deep question. Because I have been trying really hard to be obedient to what God wants me to be doing. I have experienced the reward of being obedient. And so if I had to say, I don't fear the consequence. I want to have that feeling that I feel of being obedient.
Of being obedient.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that somewhere inside us, it's not necessarily some type of material reward that
Right.
we're looking for.
Hmm.
Like the real reward is to think to yourself and believe that you did something that was pleasing in the sight of God.
Absolutely.
And then there's the reward, right?
Yep.
But I would go with what you said too. If I had to figure out, would I be more afraid to be punished or more exciting to get the reward and the blessing?
Yep.
I would just focus on the positive. And
Yep.
I think the blessing would be more of a positive thing.
Yep.
And even if I don't get something that I think I deserve or something, some
Yeah.
blessing, just not being punished is kind of reward enough, so
Right.
Well, so I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with
And
you.
even if, I mean, I know we're skipping ahead a little bit, but even with this race, if you don't mind me going into
Oh,
this, 'cause
yes,
it
of
kinda
course,
fits,
let's go.
It fits this. In January of 2023, I was talking to somebody about what had been going on in the clerk's office. And when that person left my office, I sat down at my desk, and it was like God had said to me, now. It wasn't a voice that I heard. It was a feeling of settling over me, and it was now. And it's scary because I've always been the supporting cast. I have never been the frontline person.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, God, I hear you. I need confirmation. Okay, because is this my ambition? Is this something that I want because it's just I'm trying, I'm an ambitious person.
Right.
And I said, let me get confirmation. So I work for a Republican judge. Okay. And so I went in and I said to him, listen, I want to do this, but I need my job. I can't do this without my job. Are you okay with me running? And he didn't even question. He just said, absolutely.
Right.
You are a public servant. You are a hard worker. You love that office. You need to do this.
Right.
So I went back in my office and I said, thank you for the confirmation. And from that point forward, then I just set about, and I've told people this. I said, in this race, and I've even told our team, no matter what happens, I can't, God knows what I want, God and my desires, but I say, I want your will, what you want to have done. I know you have a purpose and a plan for me, and I am on this journey for what you want to happen, what you want done. So when I say obedient, I'm being obedient to his plan. If it is not his will that I am successful at the end, there is something he has me ready for me.
Yeah, the process will make you better regardless.
Right. So the obedience and following what I feel I have been told to do has brought me a lot of joy and a lot of peace. And we were just talking in church in our Sunday school this week, and we were talking about that seeking God all the time and finding that joy and that peace. And I said, for me, it's almost like an addiction. I want to seek that.
Yeah.
I want to seek that feeling I get when I know I'm doing what he wants me to do.
Right.
So,
Right.
That's a really
What does
story.
what does the clerk of courts do?
Sure. So the clerk of courts has two mandated purposes. The first one is the keeper of the court's record. Okay, so this clerk for Montgomery County is the clerk, the keeper of the record for the Common Pleas Court General Division, which is the criminal, felony cases, and civil over 15,000.
What's that mean? Over 15.
Well, there's usually they call it a jurisdiction. So they do all cases.
okay. The
They don't
population
determine
of
the
over 15.
No, dollar amount. I'm
Okay.
sorry,
Okay.
you're right. They will take less than, but it's typically the bigger, like medical malpractice, personal
Okay.
injury,
Okay.
that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So there's criminal, there's civil, and then they do domestic relations court. So where the divorces and domestic violence cases, and then they also are the keeper of the record for the Second District Court of Appeals.
Okay.
So that's one division. That's called the legal division. Okay, that's where my history is with the clerk. Then you have auto titles. So that's the second mandate, is that you do the auto titles, where you go in and you transfer your car title
Yeah.
when you sell it. And in that division, they also do passports, they do TSA pre-checks, and this clerk has expanded some of the services. They're non-mandated,
Mhm.
but the mandated services that you do the auto title. And then they also are the keeper of the record for the Huber Heights and Trotwood municipal courts.
Wow.
So that's criminal, civil, and traffic.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's an office that has roughly over 100 employees.
Okay.
So that is the clerk of court.
So to me, it's kind of to be in that position, it's kind of like a position where you need to be trusted to be in that type of position.
Absolutely.
So how do you feel about your counterpart being indicted on several charges and he could end up in the same? Is it possible he could end up in the same case file that he's
He does have a criminal case in that court.
the same thing he oversees?
Yes, absolutely.
How is that legal?
Well, so you have to file in the jurisdiction of the crime, right? So, well, the proposed crime, the alleged
The
crime.
alleged
Let's
crime.
make sure. I say
Today's
that
keyword
right.
is allegedly.
Yes. And so now the state of Ohio has their special prosecutor, right? And they are the ones that are prosecuting the case. Matt Heck is not prosecuting this. He can't. It's a special prosecutor.
Mhm.
And then the judges that are in the common police court, they're not going to hear this case. So they have a visiting judge that comes in, somebody that isn't from here.
It's like a traveling pastor.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So the Supreme Court appoints somebody.
Mm.
So even though, like, he was arraigned in Montgomery County, just third floor or fourth floor? Fourth floor. So he had to be arraigned right there in that building.
How embarrassing would that be as a? I mean, of course,
Yes.
you can speak to that, but how embarrassing could you fathom that would be?
I would be horrified. I would be horrified.
Now, to me, I would just resign.
Yes, you would. And I do believe the Republican chairman and some of the Republicans were asking him to resign,
Mm.
but he would not resign.
Do you think this kind of trickle over from the Trump thing that's going on, where like he's in court for federal crimes being indicted? It's like he's kind of trying to ride the wave a little bit, like.
I have heard people call him the little Trump.
Mm. I wouldn't be regular Trump, let alone little Trump.
Well, I mean, that's just what I heard.
So,
Sorry.
what are some of the things that like he's been alleged of actually committing crimes or doing?
So some of his charges are, and there's a couple big ones, right? So there's 7 felonies and
7.
2 misdemeanors. There's theft in office. Theft in office is a big deal.
Wait,
Yeah.
is that like you print something off and you take some paperwork home, or he like what is theft of office?
So it could be various things. So I believe, okay, so without being exact,
Alleged.
yes, it was utilizing equipment that shouldn't have been utilized. It was, I'm not, the theft in office isn't the one that I studied the most. The first charge that was very egregious to me was, so let me back up just a little bit.
Okay.
I worked for the treasurer's office for 2 years.
Okay.
Okay. The treasurer is the tax collector, the banker, and the finance director of the county. They take the billions of dollars that come in and they work with a special firm that invests the money to make money,
Okay.
right? So they have a finance department. So the first charge in the indictment is that my opponent, Mike Foley, allegedly, purposefully and knowingly solicited the treasurer to direct county funds to an investment firm in which he had interest in.
Oh, so like I'm like a hedge fund manager of this, and I say, okay, this person can get you 18% on your investment.
But I own part of it.
Wow.
Yes. So that to me is the biggest that and so to me public trust is a really big deal.
Mhm.
And again, this is what I've said when I talk to people, the trust and the integrity that you have to have in this office, because everything that happens in the clerk's office impacts somebody's life.
Mm.
It is so you have the leader of the organization where you're supposed to be leading people, that one piece of paper impacts somebody's life, whether they're kept in jail too long, whether a warrant isn't recalled and somebody gets picked up and they shouldn't.
Mm.
I had somebody that had received a call where their bond, it kind of went missing. When I was the chief deputy, I helped people. They would call and I'm a problem solver.
Mhm.
And so it turned out that the bond didn't get transferred from Vandalia, and it kind of slipped through the cracks. So this person's sitting in jail too long.
Mm.
This is the kind of stuff, it impacts people's lives. So
Right.
for me, the leader of that kind of organization has to have impact. You can't have a whiff of scandal like
Right.
this.
Right.
And yes, an indictment does not mean that he has been found guilty. It is a charge.
Mm.
But where there's smoke, there's fire. And this investigator took almost 2 years. I mean, it started in November of 22 when they started the investigation. So for them, and then to finally press charges, it to me,
Yeah.
and I mean, he has the right to a trial. He has the right to be, tried before a jury of his peers. I believe in the process. I believe whatever will happen. People got a lot of staff members got upset when he didn't get suspended, because what can happen when you have that office, when somebody is charged with the felony, the special investigator can go to the Supreme Court and they could say, we want you to commission 3 retired judges to decide whether he should be suspended from office. Okay. Well, the 3-judge panel said, we're not going to do this. We're not going to suspend him. Now his team, they were devastated, because if any member of those clerk staff would have been charged with theft in office, they would have been fired.
Mm-hmm.
So it hurts my heart for the people that work there. It hurts my heart for our citizens that this is even a headline, but it is. And
So I want to kind of like shift the focus
Sure.
to you.
okay,
Okay.
absolutely.
So when you get in office,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you would like to clean up and improve?
The first thing, and I have told some of the people that I've talked with about coming with me, I said our first minimum 6 months is going to heal the team.
Mm-hmm.
When you work for an elected official and there's an election, it's stressful enough, right? You have a lot of uncertainty about who's going to win, what are the changes. On top of that, now this team has had this investigation, which they all got, most of them got interviewed, right?
Right.
And then charges,
Mhm.
and then he didn't get suspended. So you have a team that has suffered some trauma,
Right.
right? So I am like I said, I protect.
Right.
I am a mama bear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to build trust with the team. I want them to get to know me. I want to get to know each and every one of them. And I want to almost do, how do I deal with PTSD? Like, so building the team, because I am only as strong as my team.
Right.
And so I need to get that team stabilized.
Mm-hmm.
I will then go in, because one of the other things that has happened in this office is there's a lot of cronyism. There are a lot of friends that were hired at pretty high dollar amount salaries. So you have a very large administrative team, okay? And so I will go through and I'll analyze, because I know what it takes to run this office.
Right.
So I'm going to look at all those administrative positions, and I'm going to say which ones are absolutely necessary for this office to operate and for us to, number one, fulfill our mandated purposes.
Right.
So then once I determine that, then we will restructure our staff. I want to make sure that the frontline staff is properly resourced.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you guys, anybody coming in, you need to make sure that the people in front of you to serve you, that there's enough people there.
Right.
So that's going to be the main focus. Second, or third, I would, there's some things that he has created. One is called a help center. And he has said that this is bringing the courthouse to you and it's helping the community. What it truly is he went and got pamphlets from the Dayton Bar Association, had them all reprinted at the taxpayer dollars, and he has them throughout the county. He has them in YWCAs, YMCAs, libraries, mental health facilities. I mean, he has them everywhere. But his face, his picture is on this. It truly is a campaign tool. It's a promo. It isn't, it isn't people that can provide legal advice. It isn't people that have a background in the clerk's office or even the court system.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to look at that center. I know that people look at it as a service, but I want to look at the sister courts. I want to look at Dayton Municipal. I want to look at Juvenile. I want to look at DR courts, see what they do for help centers, right?
Right.
And then I want to partner with my courts that I work and say, what can we do to build a help center? I helped create the Probate Resource Center up in Probate, where we partner with the public defender,
Mm-hmm.
and people can come in and have an attorney. Give them legal advice. That's a help center,
Right.
not passing out pamphlets.
Right.
So that's going to
Nothing
take
like
me. That's going to take me a couple years.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So when you get elected, how long do you serve before you have to run again?
4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Okay.
So I have some time to
Yeah,
build.
you got some
Mhm.
time to get in there and do the work and
Yep.
Implement all the things that you want. That's cool.
So let's talk about endorsements, right?
All right.
One thing I saw, which was a big endorsement, was you being backed by unions and you having background in union, right?
Yes.
So you
Yes.
used to work at Congress. So like, give us
Yes.
that experience of
Yes.
working in a union. Cause I used to work at a union as well, and they had asked me as well, but that was for a certain section, and we had a different chapter. So it was this crossover situation where they were in a different union than us.
Yeah.
When I was at RTA, so
Sure.
so just give us your background.
What's that? So of course when I went back to work when Jonathan went to kindergarten, and I was at Kroger,
Mhm.
and that was union. I didn't really know that though.
Mhm.
I was just like, okay. So then when I started at the clerk's office in 2001, I was a part-time deputy clerk, and I was
Mhm.
scanning papers. And I started then working full-time, and I had to sign the union card.
Yep.
And I had to pay union dues.
Yep.
And I didn't really, I have always been a really hard worker,
Mhm.
right? And I am I'm going to learn everything I can learn, and I'm going to, I didn't think that the union, what did it bring to me, right?
Mhm.
So I had to learn through the years what the union does, and it's pretty powerful.
It is.
Because they stand up not only for the negotiations of your contract and making sure your salaries are in line. They look out for the futures in your salaries. They look at your benefits. They look at what you can, they negotiate for you.
Yeah.
They take care. So when I became supervisor, if I had a problem employee, I had to do things the right way, and I had to abide by that contract. Otherwise, anything that I did was going to be thrown away.
Exactly.
So they hold management accountable
Mhm.
to doing things the right way. And I will say I grew and grew to appreciate it more and more. Even, I think I appreciated it almost more when I was in management.
Mm.
And I had excellent management labor relationships, because I told my managers when I became chief deputy, I said, you are held accountable to that contract just like the employees are. Because if you are not consistent, because I hate inconsistency.
Mhm.
This supervisor lets their team do that, but this supervisor
I
doesn't.
cannot stand that.
Yes,
Mhm.
right. So some of my managers weren't too fond of me, because I'm like, no, you're going to do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I appreciate that contract is there to protect the people from bad management.
Wow. Powerful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the NAACP and the Amos project.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I have been going to NAACP. I'm lifetime member. lifetime. I have to renew like every so many years, you know.
Yeah.
But I have really appreciated being part of the organization and going to the meetings. The community meetings that they have where they bring in people to talk and educate the community about different things is powerful.
Mhm.
And I would say, you know, more people, even if you're not a member of NAACP, you should come. You know, because you learn things. I learned about InvitaVet. I learned about, you know, different parts of education. There's just a lot to learn.
Think they need some shirts?
What was that?
Do you think they need some shirts?
Oh, you know what?
That man
I'll
always
reach out
working.
to that.
That man always working,
I'm just
y'all.
I'm just
I'll hook you up. You did these fabulous shirts, of course I'm gonna.
always comes back to t-shirts. Okay.
No, so I was honored that they asked me to come and talk and introduce myself, and I am very, very supportive of what the NAACP does.
For sure. So, how did you end up going from like living in Minnesota, moving here? What was that transition, and then also to cap it off to going to Wilberforce as like HBCU? Yeah. So like, how did that happen?
You went to Wilberforce?
Yeah.
Nah, you
She for real.
different.
She for real.
You different.
She for real about it. All right. So, how do you go
And I
from
love it.
growing up in
no
Minnesota,
doubt.
coming here, and then end up at an HBCU?
Okay.
The legendary Wilberforce.
So legendary. So we moved down here when the kids were pretty little, and my husband at the time, he worked for a company that had him traveling all over. And so he was all over the world, working and traveling, and we had decided that I would stay here, keep the kids stable, and he would do his thing and move up. He had moved up in NCR. And so when I started working at the clerk's office, I kind of was
Ready to come out that shell.
Yeah.
You like, hold on, it's my time to shine.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
all in Frisco, Maine, Spain, Japan, Iran. Oh,
It's 60
what you
degrees in the
mean?
middle of the winter.
What you mean? Stay home with the kids.
What you mean? I let the snow baby sit in
NCR.
And the snow baby sit in Minnesota.
Like, man, oh. Nah, okay. I'm just
No,
playing.
it's kind of for real what happened. I thought, you know what, I was interviewing with Dayton Daily News for our profile piece, and she's like, why is that office so special to you? And I had to think for a second, and I said, because I found myself.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I found
That's real.
who I really was and who I could be. And I found my confidence. I found my independence.
Right.
You know, that I could really do this. And I just became, you know, I worked. I had 3 children. And I will never say that I was a single mom, but I raised the kids a lot myself. I had the paycheck coming in from
Yeah.
it, so it's not that I can say I was a single mom.
Not financially,
But,
but
I raised
emotionally.
them. Yeah.
Right.
And so, but I coached them through in grade schools. I actually got to coach one year in high school volleyball.
Really? Oh,
I'd never played volleyball, but
Right.
I was a good coach.
Okay.
yeah.
You know, and so anyway, so I always have hustled. I always have worked hard at everything that I did. So I found myself, and I always want to learn. Right? My brain, I just have to constantly learn. And so when I got into the clerk's office, at the time, everything was very siloed. Like, people would do one job and that was it. And I'm like, oh no, I can't do that. So I would learn this job. Then I would learn this job. And then I would learn that job. And it was funny. I will never forget. I remember the guy. I could tell you his name, but I'm not going to say it. I remember exactly where we were in the office when he said, I don't know why you're even doing that. They don't even appreciate it. And I said, well, you know what? I'm not doing it for them.
Right.
I'm doing it for me.
Right.
And I became the supervisor maybe a year later.
Yeah.
And then the chief deputy. And now I'm going to be the clerk.
Did you write him up when you became supervisor? You should roll him up for his lack of.
He was actually, he had been transferred to a different
Yeah, I bet he
department.
did.
Exactly.
Yeah. When
As he should be.
Yeah,
Transferred to Siberia.
Lynn Cooper is getting
Oh,
off
shit.
somewhere.
Oh,
Bitch,
death duty.
that paying more money than Florida.
He got transferred. That's funny.
He didn't get fired.
There you go. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, but wait a minute. Did we talk about Wilberforce?
Okay. All right. So I didn't finish my degree. I got married at 22. I had a child at 23, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so when I started working back at the clerk's office, I had a couple judges that were really encouraging me to go back to school. Now, I didn't always have the support of my husband at the time. He was not one that was very encouraging, and I'm not trying to bash him. That wasn't his nature to really support and push me to
Develop.
And so I had some judges that were really encouraging and saying, you really should go back to school. And I'll tell you, I was scared. I mean, because, I graduated, I'm going to tell my age here, but I graduated in 1984. And I know you guys weren't probably even born yet, but, okay.
I was around. I was in the streets.
Yeah.
I was cutting grass.
You didn't say you were in diapers.
I was cutting grass and stuff. Yeah, playing soccer. I was
Right?
around.
So, anyway, where were we? Okay, so I started going to Sinclair in 2013, and I was doing part-time, and I'm like, God, this will take forever. And then somebody had suggested, why don't you look at Wilberforce, the climb program, because I think that might really benefit you. And so I went and I talked with them, and I was super excited because I went to the University of Minnesota for 1 year in 1984. They transferred credits from that school.
Whoa.
I know. And so I was like, oh, heck yeah. And so they transferred everything out to Wilberforce, and it was just, I went to the orientation, and, okay, I'm going to be funny. Okay, I'm going to be.
I'm like, everybody, I'm like, how they transfer like arithmetic into math?
No.
How
So
they change like arithmetic? Back in the day they call it like arithmetic. They call it
that's
math.
not funny. I'm not that old. Oh my God.
Okay.
No, I didn't use an apple.
A sundial. How they do that?
Oh my
But
gosh,
listen,
you guys.
I don't talk about my age. Okay. 'Cause I was told you the same thing. All right there. We
I
take
mean,
offense to that. You.
I mean, if your graduation picture was in black and white, I mean, we gonna judge you.
My
wrong.
graduation picture was not black and
Oh,
white.
cool. No beef, then. No beef. Hey, shout out to the baby boomers. You know what I mean? So I'm saying, not y'all, the baby boomers.
No, I will say somebody said my picture looked a little like I had a mullet. It was the style back then. The big hair up here.
I can never forget this. I took to say business in the front, party in the back. That's what the mother is, the business in the front with the party in the back.
Okay.
All right.
All right, yeah,
All right,
come on,
all
man.
right.
Right.
So I go to my orientation.
We buying.
I know. We go to my orientation, and I can make fun of myself. Okay, I have no problem doing that. And they put up this graphic about the demographics of Wilberforce, and I'm like, oh look, I'm that little sliver, and the whole class just roared,
Like 0.01s of white.
We always feel like that when we go to like Centerville.
Oh yeah, I'm the way around for us.
But it is so funny because I was accepted, I was loved, I was comfortable.
What was your major?
Organizational management.
Okay, I did that too at Wright State.
Yep.
Yeah, mine was called like organizational leadership, but
Okay.
it's the same thing, same concept.
And you know what? I was really glad that I saved my college days to the age that I was at, because I used my life experience in all of my writing.
Right.
And it made the writing easier, and it made it really interesting. So
Speaking of interesting, here on the Legendary People podcast, there's a thing called the butterfly effect. It is something you said in the course of the interview, something I found in the course of my research, I found to be truly profound and amazing that I had to tell you what happened, right? So this guy named Chris Bonner, are you familiar with him?
no way.
Yeah, so Chris Bonner has said,
He's my really good. Like,
I want to tell the story.
Okay.
So he left you a very, very long message on your post, so I did the research, right? And he said, life is going to hit you hard in some type of capacity when you're trying to achieve a monumental milestone. But in words of Lynn, you don't always have to be a mountain mover. He said, I recall a family member dying during a crucial school time frame, and Lynn empowered me to grieve with my family and stated boldly that she has me covered. I listened, and Lynn indeed had my back. She sent me lectures, audio files, PowerPoint slides, type notes, PDF attachments. All in all, she gave me the cookbook and ingredients, so all I had to do was turn on the fire to get cooking and catch up with the rest of the class. He went on to just say that when obstacles came up, we worked even harder, and God graciously met us in our faithfulness by empowering us to graduate the Klein program to become members of the class of 2020. I found that to be super dope because for you to say that your judges who weren't judgmental, who wanted you to go further, you took that energy and empowered somebody else with that. And to me, like, that's truly amazing.
Oh, thank you. And that he's a special person, and he has gone on to Howard, and he I think he's done, but Chris and I, you know what, we started our cohort group, and we both kind of recognized that we were driven and we wanted to get this done. And Wilberforce at the time was struggling a little bit. I think we went through 4 different directors of Klein. And so every single time things would shift, and we just encouraged each other, and we just were, I was actually hospitalized for a little while, and he had my back.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so it was like we both kind of said, hey, we both recognize we need and want to get this done, and we're going to help each other and do whatever we can to make it happen. And, you know, and there were some challenges, and, you know, here's the thing, you know, you look at what you go through in life, and everything happens for a reason. And I was just meant to be there for him. And, you know, he was taking on great, enormous things. And there was sometimes so much pressure for him that whole mountain comment came, where sometimes when you're that person that is always moving mountains for people, you feel so exhausted and weary. And I said, you can still be really powerful, but you don't always have to move the mountain. So that's where I was saying you can set back and let somebody else help you move it. And so, yeah, he's a very special person. I'm really happy for him where he's gotten.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that you literally went to school for organizational leadership.
Yeah.
You know, and that's exactly what you're doing right now. You know, some people just try to wing it, but it seems like that you kind of like been putting in the work, building up for this moment right now.
There's a video that I did on all my social media, and the song was "I Was Born for This," and I truly feel I was born for this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And my master's, I did public administration.
So still in the same area.
Teaches me all about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to, you know, put yourself out there and run a race and run a campaign, you know, because it is always that unknown. But it takes a lot of confidence, you know, and courage to do something like that. So I had to applaud you for that, you know, and to just stand up and run your race.
It's scary, and at times, and you know, at the beginning when you kind of had to prove yourself, and you know, being the candidate that has never done it before, and so you have to prove that you can do it. I was blessed to have Jill and the team, and Jade's been part of the journey, and you know, like I say, we are a team, and when you have a team, you have everybody that has different skills, different gifts. That's what makes a really good team. Like on a sports team, you would have, you know, the players, and you'd have to know where to put them where they were going to be the best met, right?
Mhm.
And that's the same thing here. Our team, we have different. I can't do what Jill does. My God, I cannot.
I don't know 3 people in this world that can. And that's naming Jill twice.
Right. and Lauren and Kira, you know, they each bring something different, and that's truly what a team is, and that's why we say we're the dream team.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Sure.
because we're just coming together. And it's really special.
If you had to have a call to action for the community in order for them to be informed when they get out there and they vote,
Yeah.
what would you have the people do to show and prove that you are the woman for this job?
So we were at one of the events in Dayton early on in the summer. I can't remember which one it was.
The professional and emotional intelligence for juvenile circuit court.
No, that was a session that I taught. We were at where was it? Down on Riverscape. We had a table. It was one of the
The 4 Dayton by Dayton.
yes.
Oh,
for Dayton,
yeah,
but thank you,
yeah.
thank you.
Shout out to
And-
Julian Carter. That's the bro.
Yep. It was a great event, and we had
Okay.
I had a woman come up to the table, and she had just become naturalized, right? She just became a citizen.
Mhm.
And she says, I want to know about you. I want to, tell me why I should vote for you. And I said, I am so happy you're doing this. I said, you are you're educating yourself. You're
Yeah.
asking the candidate, you're making the candidate tell you why you should vote.
Mm.
And every person that asked me that, I have loved it.
Right.
And being able to tell them why I feel like I really am the best candidate. Because if you can get a feel from somebody
Right.
when they're not genuine, when
Absolutely.
they're not authentic. And anybody that talks to me, they come away with the sense of that I'm very authentic, I'm very passionate, and I really do love the office.
Right.
And so it's really about public service.
Mhm.
It truly is. And it's about who I can impact and whose life I can help. And I don't know if we have time for the story that I have.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this, and this is a pivotal moment in my career. And I tell this story to people because this is the type of leader that I am. I was the chief deputy of the legal division, and I had a call come in to me, and it was a woman that was trying to, she was frustrated. She was trying to get a divorce from the man that had just gotten out of prison, and he was put there because he had almost beat her to death.
Oh God.
Okay. So she was trying to divorce him, but he wouldn't sign the papers. He was avoiding it. Right. And so she's like, I don't know what to do. I can't get this divorce. I said, well, I've seen other people do this. Why don't you try this, this, and this? And so she did. And I kind of forgot about it. And then a month later, I got a call and said, Lynn, and I get choked up every time I tell this story. So they said, there's 2 ladies out in the lobby. And so I go out there, and I had never met this person, right? And I looked at her, and I knew that it was her. I knew it. And I said, is it over? And she starts crying. She said, yes.
Mm.
And we were hugging each other in the lobby.
Right.
And her mom was there with her. And her mom was crying. And then her mom prayed over us.
Mm.
And she prayed for me and for what my purpose was. And then when they left, I just stood in the lobby I was like kind of stunned. And I just stood there, and then I turned around, and the whole legal division was looking at me. And I said, this is what we do.
Mm.
Right.
This is every piece of paper that we have come through this office. Look what it just did for her. And so take your job seriously. Take your job and have pride in it. And recognize that everything we do touches somebody's life. And it was at that moment that I knew what my calling was.
Yeah. I wish we would have got that on video. That would have been like the best commercial ever.
Yeah.
Like that was
Yeah.
no, but honestly though, like that's what you want to capture to show people your spirit, you know?
Mhm.
And your impact.
Yeah,
You know?
your impact
And
and,
we're
and how
supporting-
much. The thing that caught my attention the most is you said, I just love the office.
Mhm.
That's what you want.
Passionate.
Not somebody doing it for the paycheck. Like do what you love and the money will follow. I mean,
Sure.
I think you should get paid for doing things that you love to do. But
Handily.
the first thing is you should be doing what you love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, and I mean that, that struck me because when you love doing when it gets slower, when times get hard or whatever, if you love it, you'll fight through it and keep going to make it right. So
It was
that's what I would be looking for.
it was interesting when I first started the journey. I started talking to the different elected officials to get their advice and just get some feedback from them. And one of them said, "Well, is there any other office you're interested in?" And I said, "Well, I'm not interested in being a politician. I want to be the clerk.
Right.
Right.
I'm not doing this job as a stepping stone to be a legislator. I'm not wanting this position so I can be a commissioner. I'm not wanting it to be, anything other than I want to be the clerk of courts.
Right.
So,
I need to be.
Yeah. There you go.
okay,
I
so-
will be.
I will.
So before we get out of here, if there's anything like you can say to a voter that's on the fence, what was something you say to them right there in that camera? Something you want to say to them while they're going to that ballot? 'Cause we're definitely going to run this before they go get a chance to vote. What's something you would say to the voter that's on the fence?
All righty. You need to have somebody you can trust and that has integrity. That's going to look out for the public in their best interest. That's going to take everything that could matter to you and make it just as important to me. And I will be there for anybody that needs to be there.
So, how about you? You got anything?
I like it. I definitely like what I
Vote
heard
Cooper
today.
for clerk.
Exactly.
For sure, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Legendary People Podcast, Legendary People, Legendary Stories.
Thank
All right.
you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Later. Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming. Honestly.